I'll give a quick update now about the coalition mess today. Only quick because it's now as boring as it is sad and hopeless. Former Liberal Prime Minister John Howard today said the Liberals should make concessions to get the Nationals back into a coalition. But the Nationals are demanding too much, and those talks of peace are all going absolutely nowhere for now. Howard also abused One Nation as a grievance vehicle and said its latest recruit, former Liberal Senator Cory Bernardi, who joined One Nation this week, did so because he was desperate for recognition. But Howard said he wouldn't trouble the scorers when he stood for election come South Australia's election in March. Joining me is Thursday regular, Barnaby Joyce. Barnaby Joyce, thank you so much for joining us. John Howard was unusually sharp in his criticisms there. Is that all One Nation is, a grievance vehicle with no solutions?
No, it's not. And I think you would see even today, there's substance to our process, there's substance to our tactics. We're finding things out on behalf of the Australian people. Today it was revolved around capacity investment schemes and the secret agreements that your listeners should know about because they're forking out the money for it. And I can understand, look, I have great respect for John Howard, but I do get a sense of panic in the sort of the febrile discussions that are happening of, this is all terrible, don't vote for them. The time's moved on, and the form of One Nation that is in the Parliament today is probably different to the one that Mr Howard had to deal with decades ago. We have an incredible role on behalf of the Australian people, and I think the Australian people in the indicative polling, and that's, I understand it's indicative, have recognised that and have put their support in an indicative way, and we intend to respect that and deliver back to them what is their right.
Well, I will get to the question you asked today in Parliament, but I just want to continue on John Howard. He also said Cory Bernardi, the former Liberal senator, then became the head of Australian Conservatives before that went nowhere. He said Cory Bernardi is going to flop in the South Australian election. He's standing for One Nation for You at the state election. The stakes, though, now are very high, aren't they? Because if Cory Bernardi does flop, the air goes out of your balloon, and Liberal Senator Alex Antic, who's been thinking about One Nation, certainly then won't join you.
Well, look, Cory Bernardi is a South Australian standing for the South Australian Parliament, and I would suggest politely that he probably has a better understanding of South Australia than Mr Howard in Sydney. The South Australians, I feel, will take with some umbrance the suggestion from a person in the Citadel of Sydney telling the South Australians who they should vote for and whom they shouldn't. I will let the people of South Australia make their decision. I believe Cory is a business person, and he's run a successful business, a person who's represented our nation in sport and at the highest level, is a very competent person and would be a great asset in the Parliament in South Australia in holding what is an ascendant Labor government to account. Mr Malinowskis obviously is going very well, but you need a check and balance on that, and it is a person such as Cory Bernardi who can deliver that. In fact, I'll go further than that. To be quite frank, the only person I know
now you mentioned
in the potential opposition would be Cory Bernardi.
That's a test. Look, you've caught me short because I have completely forgotten the name of the new Liberal leader, so you've got me there. By the way, you mentioned earlier the capacity investment scheme. Now, this is a scheme, of course, that the government has to fork out lots of our money to try to get lots more investment in green energy. Now, obviously, we're very keen to know how much that is costing us. And you asked that question in Parliament today.
Can the Treasurer please inform the House of the cost to the Commonwealth budget on a 25-26 year of the Commonwealth's capacity investment schemes, and to assist the Treasurer, I believe that they should be noted within the quantified contingent liabilities.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. As the member for New England should know, that because the capacity investment scheme involves a number of negotiations, then those numbers are not typically published.
The problem is that Jim Chalmers, the Treasurer, doesn't want Australians to know how much it costs. Told you, oh, it's all in confidence, etc., etc. Is that actually correct?
No, it's not. See, what budget papers are, Andrew, and I know you know this, they're actually the disclosure to the Australian people of how the Australian people's money is being spent. The whole point of a budget paper, the whole point of financial reports, is to tell you where your money is being spent. Now, Mr. Chalmers, Dr. Chalmers of political science, says that they've been disclosed in the usual way. They were his words in the answer. No, it's not the usual way. The usual way is to actually disclose them. But in the budget papers, they're NFP, not for publication. And the agreements, if you are commercial in confidence. And that could be hundreds of billions of dollars of your listeners' money that is being hidden from you as to who's getting it, on what terms they're getting it, how they negotiated it, and this money that just walks out the door. Now, the interesting thing, because it sounds outrageous, the interesting thing is Katie Gallagher thought so as well. And the finance minister in the other place, the Senate, when asked the same question by Senator Hanson, said, oh no, we'll get that for you. And of course, now they're in panic stations trying to backtrack because they know full well that people will lose their mind when they find out how much has been paid in this giant swindle called the capacity investment schemes, which is the subsidisation of billionaires to underwrite them so they get a guaranteed return on their investment, even if they don't produce an electron of electricity.
Barnaby, just finally, the fuss about Israeli Prime Minister Isaac Herzog coming